Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon, everybody out there in Radio Land. Good afternoon, Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Patrick Schmid. I'm sitting in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We have a very exciting program of events for you today, including our opening discussion about Cocoa Fest and what that means to the Cayman Islands. We will then be moving on to a discussion regarding the coronavirus and the newest updates relating to that important matter, as well as subsequent to that, we'll be having a discussion with the Pink Ladies and talking about the various charitable events that they get organized for. So without further ado, we're going to go to another short break, and then we'll be right back to you and start off with Cocoa Fest.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome back to our listening audience. My name is Patrick Schmidt. I'm standing in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks today, and we're starting this afternoon's program with a discussion of Cocoa Fest. We have, amongst others, other distinguished guests, Miss Mona Lisa Mead, Marketing Coordinator for the Tourism Attraction Board.
Good afternoon.
And hi, Mona Lisa. And she has with her a complement of persons representing various aspects of Cocoa Fest, including the main beneficiary, shall we say,
Yes.
of the actual event, which is, of course, in the form of the Cayman Islands Meals on Wheels program, represented amongst other persons by Miss Jennifer West. And so it's a pleasure to have you all with us. But I will, without further ado, allow you to introduce yourselves and perhaps tell us a little bit about Cocoa Fest for starters, and then whatever direction you'd like to lead us in, we'd be more than happy to hear about it.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Schmidt. I'm Mona, as he mentioned. I work for the Tourism Attraction Board, which is a statutory authority, for those of you who don't know, that manages the Pedro St. James Botanic Park attractions, as well as the Cayman Craft Market and the government portion of the Hell attraction. For this event, Cocoa Fest, we've been doing this now. This will be the 5th year. I'd like to say that Peter St. James is obviously the location at where it's happening, and Miss Debbie Bodden, our operations manager, is with us today.
Hello, everybody.
And she can talk to you about some aspects of the event as well. And again, we'd like to say that Meals on Wheels is our benefiting charity for this event. What we try to do is obviously host events that will encourage the public to come out to the attractions, but also by doing that, a portion of the entry fee will then go towards the Meals on Wheels. So for $5 entry, which is all it is, children 6 and up, adults are $5, anyone 5 and under for free, and $1 of that $5 entry will go to Meals on Wheels, and we're very pleased to have them in again for the 2nd year, as we feel that it aligns well with the food aspect, the consumable aspect of cocoa, of the coconuts that we're celebrating.
Absolutely. So, Jennifer, did you want to give us a brief introduction regarding Meals on Wheels and your programs?
Okay, so my name is Jennifer West. I'm the general manager at Meals on Wheels, and Meals on Wheels has been in Cayman for quite a number of years, and the community knows Meals on Wheels as the organizations that provides meals to seniors. So right about now, we have about 20 volunteers delivering meals to over 245 seniors homebound or disabled from West Bay all the way to Northside. We deliver meals Monday to Friday. and it really takes the entire community. So we appreciate organizations and events that really come on board and support Meals on Wheels. So for every dollar that is given, when you put 5 of those together, it will actually feed one person, because $5 is what it costs to feed each senior each day.
Right.
So the funds from Cocoa Fest will really go a long way for Meals on Wheels.
Excellent. And Rob?
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rob Imperato. I'm chairman of the board of Meals on Wheels. I want to echo Jen's thoughts and thank Mona and Debbie and Pedro and Cocoa Fest for having us for the second year in a row as a beneficiary. Again, we are a nonprofit, but less than 20% of our annual funding comes from government, so we rely very heavily on the private sector for fundraisers like these, as well as our own fundraisers to supplement our income to enable us to feed seniors. Our ability, as Jen mentioned, we feed about 245 people, but there's a waiting list, particularly in West Bay and Georgetown, of people we currently cannot afford to serve, and that's really due to finances. So our ability to grow is actually, subsidized by these events. So we're very grateful for people to let us have that platform to be aware of the community, make yourself aware, show our brand, tell people what we do. So if you come out on Saturday, the Cocoa Fest, we'll have a tent in the middle of the courtyard at Pedro St. James, and we'll be able to share our services with you and tell you about more of what we do in person.
Excellent. So that just takes us back then to the actual event itself, Mona.
Yes.
If you could tell us sort of the timing. I understand it starts at 12.
Years ago, with the making of a film called The Bright Spot, Cayman's Bright Spot. The filmmaker was Tamer Solomon and Rob Tyler, and they came together and created this mini documentary with our celebrating Cayman coconut and the small cottage industries that we have. Now the event happens every year in February. And this weekend, February the 8th, it'll start from 12 to 6. Last year, we extended by 2 hours by popular demand, because all of our attendees were like, you need to have this longer. Let's go straight until nighttime. And we're like, okay, let's do it then. So we found out that actually was beneficial, because more and more people came. Last year, we had over 2,300 people on site, including vendors and media and all the children that were there, as well as all the vendors and people who attended, right? So we know that the event is growing, and each year we're trying to add 1 or 2 little aspects to help encourage people to come. One of the big things, and Debbie can tell you, is all of those lovely vendors, where we have a food court for the hot food, so to speak. Right. And it all has to, and then out on the Great Lawn, we have other coconut centric items. So it could be from healthcare products to coconut marshmallows or coconut snow cones. But it all has to have something to do with coconuts. So if you're coming there and you're looking for, say, turtle meat and rice and beans, then you'll know in your rice and beans there's coconut milk.
Absolutely.
So it also showcases on a double aspect of it. It showcases the way in which Cayman then uses coconuts, and it's a fun event to come to. Right. It's a family event. It is for every single person on this island to come out and enjoy, and it's only $5. Right. And again, one of those dollars for each entry goes to Meals on Wheels. So bring, I say it in a Cayman way, bring your mama, bring your daddy, bring your granny, bring everyone you know, and come out and enjoy an afternoon on the lawn, just kind of in, I guess, fellowship.
It certainly sounds appropriate for all ages.
It is.
And I think you have a number of different sort of entertainment events scheduled as well.
Yes, we do have our local bands coming out. The Cool Breeze Boys, Eden Hurlston, Glenn Scott. I believe that Mr. Gary Ebanks will be there as well on the saxophone. We have Quincy Brown, who's going to be hosting this Saturday as well. We also have Miss Izzy. She came out last year and entertained the children. I think, Debbie, you were there to see kids on stage.
Yes, yeah, they were dancing. Yeah, they had fun. There's a lot of variety of things for children as well. Bouncing castle, paint facing. They can play. There's different games. There's art and crafts that they can do. So it is basically, it's definitely family oriented.
And you have quite a few coconut trees growing there.
Yes, we do. Yes, so that's where we get the coconuts from there. Not all of them. We have to source some of the coconuts, but most of it's actually on property. So that's a good thing. So everything comes from Pedro coconuts.
You should tell them about the Pedro coconut booth.
Yes, we have a coconut booth where you can get fresh coconuts, ice cold fresh coconuts as well. We have our own booth.
Okay.
And we sell them for $5 as well, and some of that proceeds will also go to Meals on Wheels as well.
So
it's a good cause.
Who's husking and who's chopping?
Well, we have this great guy. His name is Alan Earlston, and he's just mastered it. He does it for the regular tourists as well. When they come around, he just chops them up. So he's the master of the husking and everything too.
Of course, many people.
And he knows how to use the husks to clean.
Right.
He's a old-fashioned Caymanian himself. So yes.
Well, as Mona was saying, I mean, it's hard to imagine a truly traditional Caymanian dish that does not have coconut in it. Fish rundown, cassava cake, or any heavy cake.
We will have cassava cake.
Yes.
Custard top cornbread.
Right.
Stewed conch in the traditional fashion with coconut milk. Again, lots of rice and beans will be there. What else, Debbie?
And then we've got the cake
lobster
competition, coconut cake competition that we have. I think we have 5 applicants right now.
Right.
So that's also going to be very interesting. And they're very creative as well. That's always nice to see.
Are they all heavy cakes or the mixture of?
No, last year's was sort of a coconut cherry delight that won.
Oh, wow.
So yes, and once they're cut into and judged, and I think we can probably share out a little bit. We'll see what the
what's
owners
left.
of the cake say. but there was quite a bit of variety, and I thank you for bringing that up because we want to try to grow that event a little bit further this year too. We know we have a lot of great chefs on this island and bakers and homemade cooks, or homemakers and all that. We want them to come out so that we can and enter, so that we can create a bigger, better event within an event, so to speak, and showcase the talents as well as the further uses of coconut in the kitchen.
Yes. Well, just as an aside, when you were speaking about the fact that coconuts were very much a part of traditional Caymanian cooking and lifestyle, and has a lot of flexibility in terms of how they are used. We would also have heard things about how at one point in time Cayman was so self-sufficient in coconuts and used to export coconuts, and then they were unfortunately decimated by various hurricanes and things like this.
We also had I believe it was Simon Boxall, who's a big historian himself, who works over at GAB. He mentioned to me that there was a disease, some sort of disease that happened. It sort of tapered off the industry, and then we sort of just stayed in that space. So Cocoa Fest is that became, and I guess 5 years ago, the resurgence of the Cayman coconut, so to speak. Of course, we know coconuts are all over the Caribbean, but that choice of words is to say this is how we use it, not only in food and drink, because lots of drinks and lots of consumable items, but also the husks were used for cleaning floors and polishing floors. And we had Carmen Connolly, who's an artisan, well-known artisan from East End, who was there last year, showing us how this was done. The leaves or the trash was used for bedding as well as smoke pots.
Yes.
We also had, in past years, we had the museum out there working with kids and showing us how to make the little coconut cat boats. Well, this year the Cat Boat Club will be there with the cat boat in tow and doing this for us, while the museum will be working on some other interesting demonstrations. So the event showcases Cayman, the coconut, I should say, in a way that is very versatile, and you can see something. A little bit of everything that the coconut can do.
Right. Well, just before we go for the commercial break that we'll need to take, I'm sure Susan won't mind me just saying that Kim & Brack was the largest producer of coconuts before the coconut disease.
Well, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Coconut tree disease, and we still have that, as far as I know, on the books, the 1898 Coconut Diseases Law.
Right.
So, but of course, we have a very sophisticated agricultural department now to take care of those kinds of things. So when we come back from the break, we can talk a little bit more about Cocoa Fest.
Thank you.
Dominion Life Global Ministries invites you to their first anniversary prophetic convention. Theme, I Must Recover. February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall, featuring Apostle Joseph Jogona, Thursday and Friday, 7 until 9:30, and Sunday, 1 until 3:30, with an elegant Valentine's soiree on Saturday the 15th. If you need more information on the convention or to purchase tickets to the soiree, call 326-0744. The Dominion Life Global Ministries first anniversary convention, February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall.
2020 means perfect vision. And if you have your sights set on driving a new hybrid, then the time is now to check out the new RAV4 and CHR. Just two of the many hybrid models that Vamped is bringing to Cayman. Whether you're looking for a smoother and quieter way of driving or want a car that maximizes fuel efficiency while minimizing emissions, there are lots of ways a new hybrid from Vamped can make the difference in your life. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries without being plugged in. So focus your 2020 vision on a new hybrid from Vamped Motors, and we will see you through. Come to Vamped, home of the hybrid, located on Walkers Road.
Hi, I am Dr. Lee, Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health. The Ministry and the Department of Public Health, along with our partners, are working hard to help protect residents from the novel coronavirus. Did you know that following travel advisories is especially helpful in controlling infections? So, avoid travel if you have a cough, flu-like symptoms, and a fever. It's also important to practice general infection prevention measures at all times. That means frequently wash your hands and avoid close contact with people suffering with acute respiratory symptoms. To read more about the Public Health's travel advisory and other updates, please visit hsa.ky.
Get ready, gamers, for 6 weeks of non-stop competitive action. The Cayman Islands Esport Association is proud to announce the first ever FIFA E-League. Starting February 1st. Compete for the gold on FIFA 20 for the PS4 every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bodden Town Civic Center. Sign up today at CaymanEsports.org. Competitor fee is just $75 and includes your own jersey and swag bag. Spectators are free, so come out and enjoy the world of esports. Proudly sponsored by Gamers Bay, NetGeeks Media, CUC, Kimpton Seafire, and the Cayman Islands Youth Services Unit.
The FIFA E-League is also sponsored by Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Radio Land, and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Patrick Schmid. I'm standing in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Sitting in, sorry. I was just reminded I'm actually sitting, I'm not standing, as you'll probably see if you're watching us on YouTube. But I have the pleasure of being joined by the representatives of the Tourism Attractions Board, Pedro St. James, and indeed also the Meals on Wheels program, all of which are here, all of whom are here in connection with the Cocoa Fest event, which is going to occur this coming Saturday, February the 8th, starting at 12 o'clock and running until 6 p.m. or possibly later, depending on how many people turn out and how much more they want from what is going to be offered, which is quite a lot. So without further ado, I'm going to turn over again to Mrs. Mona Mead, for her to continue to advise us.
Well, one of the big aspects of this, obviously, is that we wanted to tie this event with a charity, and we brought Meals on Wheels on this year. They weren't with us last year. Other charities that we've worked with are the NCVO and the Cayman Cancer Society. So obviously people should know that when they're coming out to this event, they're not only going to have fun with their kids and being able to enjoy some nice food and treats, lots of treats and drink, and activities for the children, but also be doing a good thing. So I want to hand it over to Meals on Wheels, Miss West and Mr. Imperato, to talk about what people can expect at their tent, because we're hoping that you're able to reach out to more volunteers as well, who can, you might need funding, but also need the hands-on help, correct?
Yes. So at the Meals on Wheels tent, we will definitely have lots of opportunity for you to learn more about what we do at Meals on Wheels. Signing up to volunteer. We have volunteers that go out and deliver meals on a day-to-day basis, but one of our biggest volunteer needs is coming up in March, actually, and it is our Change for Change coin drive, and we need over 200 volunteers. So Cocoa Fest is a great opportunity where we have a captive audience where people will come and learn and be able to sign up. 2 hours, locations island-wide, where they can stand outside a store and collect people's loose change and really help us in a great way. That's one of our largest fundraisers of the year as well. You'll be able to pledge. So we have an online platform where people can pledge to sponsor a senior, whether it's for a day or week, a month, or a year. As I mentioned earlier, it costs $5 per day to feed a senior. So if you sit down and budget out that you could feed a senior for a week, then you can sign up to do that as well, and we'll have that available. We also have partnered, and we thank Mona Lisa for bringing these girls to us as well, with Girl Force. So we have 8 young ladies who will be assisting us, and they'll be dressed in our Seniors Rock shirts and walking around Pedro St. James for the day. And they will be really advocating for Meals on Wheels, bringing awareness to what we do, but also helping us sell some raffle tickets for prizes that we will be raffling on the day of Cocoa Fest. So everything from movie tickets to sunset cruises. So good little things to bring awareness to what we do, but also adding some extra prizes that you could walk home with that day as well.
Jennifer, Rob, can I just ask at this point, you mentioned that there are approximately 245 persons whom you take meals to Monday through Friday every week. But how long is your waiting list in terms of the number of persons, if there is such a waiting list?
There's a waiting list, yes. I don't think you were asking that question. Right now, we're at about 85 people that we know about. We do get referrals on a regular basis from needs assessment unit through CR government. So we are in heavy contact with government to know who needs food right now.
Yes.
So we get referrals almost every day. We do a very heavy vetting process where we go to the home. We interview the senior disabled in question. We talk to the family if there's a family involved. We inspect the home, and we determine, yes, this person needs our assistance right away.
Right.
And so our numbers fluctuate. So 245 is what we serve right now.
Right.
It may change next week. We do have it comes and goes per district. But yes, as I mentioned earlier, our ability to grow in mass really is restricted by our funds.
Right.
So once that happens, there'll be a twofold effect. One, we'll be able to use those funds to knock off the waiting list. We've already had that happen substantially in the last year. So we've had 2 very large donations that enabled us to knock that list in half.
Right.
So the other part of that is, as Jen mentioned, we need volunteers. So if you want to volunteer to be a driver, it's very easy. If your employer is willing to give you time off, which a lot of them are, thank you very much, all you need to do is give us a call at our office or come to our website, mealsonwheels.ky, and it takes about an hour per day to be a senior driver. So we go, if you're Georgetown, West Bay, you go to our kitchen. We outsource our meals through Mise en Place over at Industrial Park. So you go to their kitchen, pick up your bag of meals for your route, about 8 to 10 meals in total, and deliver the meals.
Right.
I also want to mention that we're not just delivering meals, we're delivering smiles and socialization.
Of course.
A lot of our seniors, most of our recipients, in fact, hate to use the word shut-ins, but I hate that term, more like they're unable to leave their homes. And so chances are our volunteers' contact is really their only point of social interaction through the day. And we encourage our volunteers to spend 3 to 5 minutes, if possible, speaking with the senior, doing a welfare check, make sure their day is going okay, make sure that they're in good mind and in good spirits, and it really lifts them up. I personally deliver whenever I can, and it centers me, it grounds me. So I encourage, if you have time, really, if money is great, we love to have a donation as well. But if you want to give the time, we'd love to have that too.
And this is why, if I might add, Cocoa Fest is important to us as well, because while I no longer have any grandparents left, I think that's part of the reason why I care so much about the elderly as well. But, his shirt says it, Seniors Rock. They're here. They're the ones who actually, you talked about the coconut industry. Mm-hmm. They did all of that. They built that for us, and we need to start, we need to continue caring for the seniors, and that's why we wanted to reach out to Meals on Wheels again this year, because I know they still had a waiting list, and we're hoping that we can kind of cut that down, even if for a month. And you can feed, another few people, and that's why we really, really want to encourage everyone to bring all of the family members out and really just give to this cause. Absolutely. Hang out on the lawn, relax with your family, enjoy a few drinks and some food, and support cottage industries as well as the elderly, as well as this event, and also the great house itself at our location.
All of which are fundamentally Kimanian.
Very much so.
And in a moment, I think we have a call waiting. But just before we go to that call, call, I'd just like to say that we'll be able to tie that in with the overall picture of how a Cocoa Fest, in addition to Meals on Wheels, can assist elderly people to enjoy what is Cayman today more. So with at that, I will go to the call. Good afternoon. Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Cocoa Fest.
Yes, sir.
It's quite a appropriate function, I guess you could call it. But just a little history about the coconut itself.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, but we're not hearing you very well. Is it possible to, if you're on speakerphone, if you could come off the speakerphone, please?
Come on. I said just a little history about the coconut. You know, it's been a big part of the Cayman Islands development over the years. In fact, I believe I know at one time, I think it was mentioned before, we exported coconut from here. Actually, it was Cayman Black and Little Cayman that had the big plantation, and that was run by a for the company that I think they made the Baby Ruth candy and maybe Mound. The original name of the company has been merged into some of the other biggest conglomerates over the years. But also there was an attempt to establish a coconut plantation here on Cayman by the family that developed the Listerine, what? Back in the mid-20s. My grandfather was captain of their pleasure yacht, had a full Cayman crew, and it was the only, one of the few pleasure yachts at the time that had wireless radio. But anyway, the family came here with the intention of establishing a coconut plantation, but that was after the Cayman Black and Little Cayman operation had been, just about finished.
Yes, sir. And it sounds like you're talking about a period that would have been just before the 32 hurricane. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, in the mid-20s, 25, 26, 27, up in those years.
Yes, sir.
And they came ashore, and my grandfather apparently took them around all, but the mosquitoes were so thick that when they went back aboard of the yacht, the principal in the family said, Captain Sam, my grandfather's name is Captain Lorien Henning, they call him Captain Sam, Samuel Lorien, Captain Sam, I don't think I'm coming back here, but you know what? You go into the pasture and you get the best steer you got there, and let's have a party. And they threw one heck of a party in West Bay to the whole island.
Right.
But,
sort of like Cocoa Fest.
Yes.
It's now another use of the coconut family product was the coconut leaves was the principal thing that was used in boat sheds to cover boat sheds. Years ago there would be 15, 20, 30 boat sheds all along from the cemetery in West Bay down to Henning Beach. Boat sheds all over the place.
Yeah, so I can remember this in Cayman Brac. Even growing up in the 80s, we used to still have some boat sheds for a lot of the elderly folks and gentlemen, I would say, who still went out fishing early in the morning. They had their little sheds along the Iron Shore side with the coconut leaves on it. I remember that very well over in the Brac. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'd forgotten about that.
One of the things that the leaves were used for, and of course you mentioned cooking, everything that had coconut trash and brown sugar.
Mr. Banks, I want to thank you for adding to our knowledge about the various uses of the coconut, and in fact some of the historical aspects of the way in which we sought to introduce or further use the coconut product, or products of the coconut rather. we have to break briefly for our usual commercials, but when we come back, you're going to hear a little bit more about some of the plans for Cocoa Fest this year. And so if you do have additional comments, by all means, you're welcome to call us back if you wish.
Your favorite family fun day is back. The 53rd Annual Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Theme, Agriculture for the Future. Ash Wednesday, February 26th. Family fun for everyone. Acrobatic show, cooking competitions, produce, plants, pony rides, petting zoo, rodeo, and so much more. Gates open at 7 a.m. with ample parking. General admission is only $10. Children ages 2 through 11, $5. And under 2 are free. Or buy your raffle ticket including entrance fee for a chance to win $20,000 and so much more. For more information, visit them on Facebook or 345agriculture@gmail.com. Put down your iPad and get back to your roots at the 53rd Annual Agricultural Show, February 26th in Lower Valley.
Would you like free roses this Valentine's Day? Buy a gift that can be cherished forever from Island Jewelers. And the roses are on us today. That's right. We'll buy the roses. Spend $350 US at any Island Jewelers and receive half dozen red roses from Celebrations for free. Island Jewelers is located in the Island Plaza under Margaritaville, Camana Bay, the airport, Kimpton Seafire, and Ritz-Carlton. Show her you love her today, forever, and always with Island Jewelers.
Radio Cayman News, live, in-depth team coverage.
A 7.7 magnitude earthquake has occurred.
Fast.
Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller was one of the first to call in. I could hear my neighbors across the street saying, whoa, that was a big one.
Accurate.
Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallegos covering the story for us.
Advising there is only a very low risk of a tsunami following this afternoon's earthquake.
If it's happening now, you're hearing it now.
We have had the all clear from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Centre. However, there will be aftershocks.
We've had a very dramatic afternoon, and I know that for a lot of people this has been very frightening.
It does not appear that anyone has been hurt and that we have been spared the worst what could have been a truly devastating ordeal.
Radio Cayman News, your news as it happens.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in Radio Land. It is my pleasure to sit in on behalf of Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. My name is Patrick Schmid. I'm here with the various excellent representatives of Cocoa Fest, which is happening this coming Saturday, the 8th of February, starting at 12 o'clock and continuing until. So we're just discussing at the moment prior to I understand we have a caller, but just prior to going to the call, I'd just like to remind everyone, firstly, that you can call in if you have any questions on 949-8037, or if you wish to call toll-free, it's 1-800-534-8255, and indeed you can send us a WhatsApp if you don't feel like calling in on 925-3261, and even email us on talktoday@candw.ky. So without further ado, I think it's best if we take that call, Susan.
Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I just want to say I think that Cocoa Fest is a fantastic family-friendly event, and I'm glad to see that it's growing strength to strength each year. As a Meals on Wheels volunteer, I applaud the organizers for Cocoa Fest of supporting Meals on Wheels. I know that when we go home to home and deliver meals, we can definitely see the value and the difference that we make in the lives of our senior citizens. And I just want to applaud you guys so much. I do kind of want to ask the question. I think it's great. You said $1 for every $5 ticket purchase will be donated to Meals on Wheels. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And this question might be better geared towards the Meals on Wheels team. With a lot of the different things that we have going on in the Cayman Islands in terms of overdevelopment or redevelopments and enhancements, such as Barkadir beaches, where Caymanians really enjoy nature and are not asking for any development to even happen. Government's looking to spend $250,000 to quote unquote re-enhance Miss Barkadir. I'm just curious as to how much more money Meals on Wheels would need to be able to meet the demands of the wait list that they have.
Okay, thanks for your call. To answer that question, we have asked repeatedly. Every 2 years is when the budget cycle it goes through government, and our annual grant is $80,000 roughly, just less than $80,000 from government, and so we've put in for $250 actually. That's that number over the last 3 or 4 cycles, and unfortunately our grant has remained static since 2013. So. Obviously, cost of living has increased substantially since then. Obviously, the cost of the meals has increased a little bit. $5 is still a great value for the public to be able to feed seniors. But to answer your question, if we had that $250 extra, we could wipe out our entire list with ease.
So, and I guess maybe now I call on the listeners of this show to just question and ask government representatives. If we have our most vulnerable people in the community, we have Caymanian families. Like you said, a lot of them can't make it out of their home to buy food or to cook for whatever reason. And as you said earlier, you're delivering not just the meals, but the smiles, the social interaction that is so vital for our community. Our senior citizens help to build these islands, and I look at it as a privilege and as a joy to be able to support our senior citizens. And so I would call on everyone who's listening to this program right now to ask themselves if it's worth spending $250,000 to make and to redevelop a beach that nobody wants redeveloped, or perhaps reassigning that $250,000. You said $250,000 would help make your year to feed your senior citizens and take care of your wait list. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So,
well, thank you guys so much. I will be at Cocoa Fest, and I will try to bring as many friends as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All the coconut products, because I know that they'll be local, and I know that they'll be delicious. Thank you so much, guys.
I'd like to thank
forward to seeing you.
I'd like to thank that caller for her contribution. Of course, some very valid points made there. But this is a perfect opportunity for us to talk a little bit about. Mona, you were saying that that $1 of the 5 will go towards Meals on Wheels directly, but indirectly there are also benefits to our elderly population as well.
Yes, sir. Well, we were talking during the break, that this is a great event, as the caller just mentioned as well, or alluded to, is that it's a great event to bring our elderly out to, if they're able to. But the other $4, I can ask Ms. Debbie to really take on this question, but goes towards the preservation of the great house and that historical building that means so much to Cayman history. And if you're not sure why, you need to come out on Saturday so I can tell you all about it. But Debbie, explain what we're planning on doing this year at Pedro St. James.
Right. What we're actually planning on doing this year is doing a walkway for disabled. So, the elderly that can get out can come out and come to Pedro and actually see. Right now we just have like gravel. And so the rest of the money, the $4, is going to go towards building a walkway that will be accessible for wheelchairs.
So far greater
and
accessibility.
also strollers for small children, because right now they can go into the theatre, but it's very hard to go down to the Great House, so they don't get to go down there. So it's a nice outing as well for them to be able to get out.
Absolutely.
To come and see, the historicness. So that we have. So
this is what we have planned for the future. For hopefully this year, by the end of this year, we hope to see that. We will be hosting some other fundraisers throughout the year, which to be confirmed. And I will come on to Radio Cayman and talk about that at a later date. But just as a general information for the public out there, all revenue that comes through the Botanic Park and Pedro through our attraction-based ticket prices goes back into the preservation of the site and into the development of the park itself. And just to talk about the entities under TAB. So for those revenue-based entities or attractions, we really want to invite the local to come out and revisit your own. These are national sites, so they belong to us, the Cayman people who live here, who work here, who put money back into the community. So not only through this event we want to talk about, but come and see Pedro, learn about the history of your country, learn about the birthplace of democracy, learn about the actual spot where the abolition of slavery was read from. This is a very important place to come to. You will be able to see all that, learn about the history of our islands as well as Pedro, the house itself, at Cocoa Fest. And every half an hour we'll have the film on, the Pedro movie on, but then we'll also have the Bright Spot Coconut documentary on, again, done so greatly by Rob Tyler and Tamer Solomon, and a holistic nutritionist. We'll have Meals on Wheels out there. We'll have volunteers representing Meals on Wheels. We'll have arts and crafts for children. We'll have the bungee. We'll have coconut games. We'll have Key My Cat boat. Miss Carmen will be there doing some more demonstrations. Food, drink, treats, the coconut cake competition, local music. I could go on. It's just a fabulous event. All for $5.
So sorry to interrupt you, Mona, but just to add, in terms of the practicalities of it, of the event, parking, for example.
Yes, we want to thank Heather Bodden and her team for allowing us to have additional parking at the playfield and Savannah Newlands playfield across there, and also the First Baptist Church of the Cayman Islands will have additional parking at the rear of their event. Another aspect Miss Debbie can talk about.
Yes, and we also have a shuttle bus this year that we're going to be using, which will go back and forth, picking up the elderly
on a frequent basis.
Yeah, it'll just keep driving from 12 till 6.
Okay.
It will just keep going up and down, and driving people that's far away or anyone that has trouble walking long distance.
And when the mosquitoes come out, you're going to have some smoke pots made
from
coconut husk.
Hopefully, yes. we're working on getting those ready for Saturday.
And also in terms of other practical matters, buying tickets, you buy them just at venue?
At the gate. We don't actually have ticket per sales per se.
Right.
It helps us to keep costs reduced if we just have people come up to the gate. We do have 2 admission points through the gift shop and on the outer side of the gift shop, and where we'll have Meals on Wheels volunteers assisting Pedro staff in making sure people have wristbands and all that. The location is still open for tours from 8 a.m. until 12, but after that, anyone who comes will have the Cocoa Fest experience.
Right.
We want to just thank our staff, who are our maintenance staff, especially Mr. Lester, Alan, the whole team, Albert and Mr. Angel, for all the work that they've been putting in since last week to get this all in place. All the people who are donating their time and giving us discounts to be able to host a cost reduced event that we were able to put most of our funds towards the Great House as well as Meals on Wheels. It's going to be a fabulous event. This Saturday, 12 to 6, bring your hungry bellies. Bring an extra couple dollars to give to Meals on Wheels, but also bring a few dollars to support the cottage industry, industry businesses who will be there. And just call us up if you have any more questions, 947-3329.
Okay, and so unfortunately we're running out of time and we have to go to the news soon, but I just wanted to also put my own little plug in there, reminding everyone that this is the 5th annual Cocoa Fest, and each year the numbers have been growing, so you don't want to be late and you don't want to miss this excellent opportunity to enjoy something very Caymanian. And I'd like to thank all of my guests today, and if you have any closing remarks, by all means, please let us know.
Just like to say thank you for having us and letting us expose the 5th annual Cocoa Fest.
It's been a
pleasure. And hope to see everybody there.
Absolutely.
Come out and support Meals on Wheels.
Excellent.
If we haven't sold this to you yet, I want people to know there'll also be fried fish cooked and fritters cooked in coconut oil.
Yes.
By you.
No, not by me. I'll be running around like a crazy person, but Miss Paulette will be there. I mean, we have Willie's fruits and juices. So many wonderful things happening. Cayman Spirits and Sandbar will be represented there. So if you're a dad who likes to have a little drink, and no drinking and driving, but
yes, please.
We will have some coconut rum there as well. Locally sourced Cayman Islands rum.
Good gift.
So there's something for everyone. And again, I just want to say thank you to all those people who are already planning to come out, and for all those who have now made up their mind after hearing about the fish and fritters.
And a big thank you to all the our sponsors.
Absolutely.
As well.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
It's been a real pleasure to have you here. And without any further ado, we'll go straight to the news.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Island.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
There is no better time to enjoy Cayman's wonderful world of sponges. As if the Cayman Islands didn't already offer an amazing diving experience, fantastic sponge life is another reason to take a dive vacation here in 2020. Divers who jump into any dive site in the Cayman Islands these days will witness sponges at the peak of their life cycle on local reefs. This means sponges are healthier, larger, and more picturesque than they have been for more than a decade. It has been 15 years since Hurricane Ivan struck the Cayman Islands and damaged the reefs, destroying many of the sponges. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, it was a historic State of the Union address conducted the day after the Democrats' chaotic Iowa caucuses and the day before the Senate renders its verdict in the U.S. president's impeachment trial. At times belligerent, at times emotional, U.S. President Donald Trump delivered what will probably be his final speech to a joint session of Congress before standing for re-election in November. And cleanup of the makeshift Kobe Bryant Memorial outside the Staples Center in Los Angeles began Monday, and the crew was busy. Fans of the late Lakers star had left more than 1,300 basketballs containing handwritten messages at the memorial in tribute. Fans left some 25,000 candles, 5,000 signs or letters, 500 stuffed animals, 350 pairs of shoes. The cleanup crew also filled a 40-yard trash bin with flowers, which will be used as mulch and spread throughout the landscaping around the arena. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Dominion Life Global Ministries invites you to their first anniversary prophetic convention. Theme, I Must Recover. February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall, featuring Apostle Joseph Jogona, Thursday and Friday, 7 until 9:30, and Sunday, 1 until 3:30, with an elegant Valentine's soiree on Saturday the 15th. If you need more information on the convention or to purchase tickets to the soiree, call 326-0744. The Dominion Life Global Ministries First Anniversary Convention, February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall.
Marianne Radmacher once said, "As we work to create light for others, we naturally light our own way."
Calling all SICSA members. The Cayman Islands Civil Service Association Annual General Meeting for the Sister Islands is Thursday, February 20th in Cayman Brac at the District Administration Building in Stake Bay in the conference room located on the second floor starting at 12:15 p.m. A light lunch will be provided.
Come out and vote for your two BRAC representatives who will serve on the 2020 Management Council. Hear the President give his annual report, ask your questions, share your ideas, and make suggestions. You can also email your questions in advance of the meeting to cicsa@gov.ky. There will also be a door prize raffle of a Cayman Airways voucher, and the first 35 persons to sign in at the meeting will get a free gift.
Members, please make every effort to attend this very important SICSA Annual General Meeting for the Sister Islands on the BRAC Thursday, February 20th at the District Administration Building in Stake Bay in the conference room located on the second floor starting at 12:15 p.m.
The 2020 Cayman Arts Festival is here. This year's event launches with Latvian artists Christine and Margarita Belenis, critically acclaimed soloists in the vanguard of classical music with mesmerizing stage presence. Thursday, February 13th, 7 p.m. at the Agape Family Worship Center. Tickets are $40 for adults and $15 for students. Tickets are available at www.caymanartsfestival.com. For more information, call 922-5550 or email inquiries@caymanartsfestival.com. Event sponsored by RBC Dominion Securities and RBC Private Banking.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in Radio Land. Good afternoon, Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman. It is my pleasure to be sitting in on behalf of Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. My name is Patrick Schmid. Just by way of reminder, quickly, the contact numbers, should you have any questions, are as follows: 949-8037 or if you wish to call toll-free, courtesy of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. You can also send us a WhatsApp on 925-3261 and email us on talktoday@candw.ky. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the studio Dr. Lee, who is our Chief Medical Officer. Sorry, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. And also representing the Port Authority, Mr. Roy Lee. So it's a pleasure to have you both here. We are, of course, going to be hearing about the most recent information relating to the coronavirus, which I'm sure you've all heard about to some extent, but certainly it does help to have ongoing up-to-date information regarding the most recent developments. And so without further ado, I'd like to hand over to these gentlemen for them to give us that update.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schmid. As you've introduced, my name is John Lee. I'm the Chief Medical Officer, and I work at the Government Administration Building for the Cayman Islands Government. As of yesterday, we haven't yet seen the release from today. The WHO are advising that there are nearly 21,000 people globally who have suffered with the novel coronavirus. It has a rather strange name, this word novel coronavirus. They have recently introduced more formal nomenclature through the WHO, which is why it's being called such. And in more detail, it's the 2019 nCoV, and nCoV stands for novel or new. CO is the corona and V is the virus. The coronavirus is actually a family of is in a family of viruses, but this one hasn't been identified and given a lot of it hasn't. So as a result, it hasn't been subject to a lot of investigations before. But as you can tell, it is rapidly being understood better. The WHO announced that this health situation was a public health emergency of international concern last week, and when it does that, it enables a lot more funds to be released and international cooperation to work towards the amelioration and investigation of the condition at a global level. So I've mentioned around 21,000 people globally have it. The majority of these are in China. Around 20,471 as of yesterday were confirmed cases in China. When they say it's confirmed, it means there's been a laboratory test which has shown and proven that it is the coronavirus. Of those people in China, some 2,788 are severe, and it's very sad there have been 425 deaths, which is around a 2% mortality rate with this condition. There have also been two deaths outside of China, one in Hong Kong and one in the Philippines, but still the number of cases, although they're climbing, remain relatively low outside of China. They're a dozen or so in a number of countries around, both in Europe and in the Americas and in Asia. It's not just restricted to Asia. The WHO have said that the risk to the world as a whole is high, but we have an agency called the Caribbean Public Health Agency, which we call CARPHA, and CARPHA still feels that the risk to the Caribbean itself is low, largely because of the number of connections that are required for people to get to us, and because we don't have that as much traffic as some countries would with China. I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope that's an update to date. One thing I should probably say is we have been working. All stops have been pulled out right across the board in the healthcare sector in order to prepare ourselves for this condition, and I'm confident that Cayman is able to manage any situation that should rise, right through from the Customs and Border Control, the people at the ports, whether it be the seaport, and Mr. Moore will talk more about that later, the seaport or the airport, ambulance services, clinics, the HSA itself, and other private providers as well. They're all working hard behind the scenes to set up the processes and to put in. Many of these organizations already have emergency plans to put those emergency plans into operation. Right. Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Lee, thank you very much for that overall perspective on the most recent information pertaining to the coronavirus. And it certainly is something that we should all be very much aware of, be alarmed about, and be cognizant of. And before I turn to Mr. Moore and ask some of the questions in terms of the pragmatic approach that the officials at the ports of entry are using in order to ensure that we try to prevent its coming to the Cayman Islands. Can I just ask you, Doctor, I understand that the virus is not as contagious as some of the other global pandemics that we've seen in the recent past, or relatively recent past. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes. And there's sort of two different axes you look at when you're thinking about the virus. Firstly, how infectious is it? And secondly, if you catch it, how dangerous is it?
Yes.
So some viruses are not very infectious, but they are pretty dangerous. Yes. You know, they cause a high amount of sickness and perhaps death if you do catch them. And this as a virus on itself is lying in the corner of the graph, so to speak, which is not in a part that we're as worried about as with others.
Right.
So if you're in, so that's reassuring, but it doesn't really reassure the individual.
Of course.
It's sort of reassuring to public health officials.
Right.
Because if you're the one that's unfortunate enough to have the condition, of course, you're very concerned and want all possible care and attention provided to you. In the past, this family of viruses, they haven't always been as robust and as resilient as some other things which have caused pandemics. So at times, for example, in the MERS crisis, the virus has petered out much earlier than we thought it would have done this, and we think that's because the virus was essentially was relatively fragile and not able to go on infecting people and causing damage. So we never really know how the story is going to pan out with something like this. However, having said that, we have seen with the rapidity with modern transport this virus has spread across the world. So that has, of course, alarmed us and has alarmed the WHO such that they've announced this public health emergency, and which is why we feel that containment is the most important thing. We need to, whether it's at an individual level or more, or as you can see, people putting in travel restrictions at a more international level. People are trying to contain the virus, with China locking down not only Wuhan but the Hubei province as a whole.
Yes.
And countries around reducing or stopping flights and restricting travel.
Right. And so once it is determined that a person has been affected by the virus, what are, to put it in very simplistic terms, what are a person's chances of overcoming the virus as opposed to it going the opposite way? I
think with all healthcare, but this is no different to many healthcare conditions in that the better support you have, if you have access to good healthcare, you're better able to get through the end of the disease process. So we're very lucky in Cayman that we have excellent medical care.
Yes.
The care currently is supportive in that you treat whichever symptom that arises, and with the tools necessary. There is no, I know there's stuff in the news that's coming along, and it could be that there are some medicines that we can use to help treat, but there's nothing being recommended today.
Right.
This is so moving so fast. Tomorrow may be different.
Right.
There's nothing being recommended today, apart from supportive care.
Right. And you mentioned also, Doctor, that all necessary preparations are taking place in terms of the actions of the health services personnel, health services authority. Without wanting to ask you about too much of the complexity of what that involves, could you perhaps give the listening audience an idea of what types of preparations are being made?
I could maybe answer the question slightly differently. And
okay,
of course, if I don't answer your point, come back to me and ask me again. But firstly, yourself, you need to take proper hygiene steps in order to protect yourself and your loved ones. So coughing and sneezing, cover your nose and your mouth. Wash your hands frequently if they're soiled. If that's not possible, use hand sanitizer when you can. Try to keep your distance. That's at least 3 feet a yard. from people who've got acute respiratory infections or avoid them altogether. If you're traveling, avoid contact with farm animals and wild animals. So the common sense around acute respiratory infections. If somebody has a relevant travel history, let's say, if somebody has a relevant travel history and they have not been identified as such, but then wishes to seek medical help, many of the clinics around the island, or the clinics at the HSA in particular, have got masks outside of the clinic. And what we're asking people to do is to call ahead to let the clinic know, say, I have a relevant travel history. I've been to mainland China. I've come back and I wish to seek medical attention because I'm feeling unwell. Let them know ahead. When you attend, put a mask on before you enter the building, but wait in the car until you're called in, and they'll take you to a more secure location and screen you quickly and deal with you appropriately. So that's a step that has been put in at the clinic levels. Beyond that, how to manage X number of people. The HSA has currently the ability to isolate people and treat them safely, as it has to do from time to time with many other people with different sorts of infectious diseases. That happens all the time. So it has the facilities to do that for a number of patients. And should that capacity be exceeded, then it has plans in place to greatly expand the capacity in order to help manage it, whilst at the same time, if possible, not to disrupt services to the other people that require the services. And as I mentioned, other private agencies across the island, as well as the HSA, have also got plans in place in order to assist should we wish to call upon them.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. That does indeed answer the principal question. So with that in mind, and thank you very much once again, I'll turn to Mr. Moore. Perhaps, Mr. Moore, if you could tell us a little bit about the types of controls that are put in place at the borders. Obviously, we have an increasingly complex situation when we hear about the virus having spread over to the Philippines and North America and so on, and with the obvious increased amount of probability of persons coming from North America regionally, potentially having been exposed. So if you could tell us a little bit about what steps are being taken, that would be very helpful.
Okay, I'll just do a quick brief into the process for the cruise lines and stuff. Generally, what happens with the ships, and like you said, majority of ships originate out of North America, Miami area generally. They send a preliminary, what we call a pre-arrival notification, which gives us the itinerary where they're leaving from, where they're coming to. And with that, what they do, they have a maritime declaration of health, which at that point states, if they have anybody on board that has any symptoms, and you had the GI virus and stuff, it's always a big thing keep going around. So even like the GI virus, if they haven't showing any symptoms of anything, by law they have to note that on that Maritime Declaration of Health. Right. And that is sent to us. And likewise, that is sent to CBC, which is, Customs Immigration, Public Health Department, ship agents, and that's sent out to various other people within government as well. So before the ships even, when they generally sail, we'll have that information up front, who the people are on board and all that stuff. And one good thing with us, even if the ship is, if you're the first stop, most of the time you have a 2-day window from the time they sail till they get here. So, and what that will entail is that, if anything occurs, anybody shows any symptoms or anything on board after they've sailed from the port before they arrive here, they'll update that Maritime Declaration of Health again. Right. And that'll list what it is, if it's a GI or, influenza or whatever the symptoms are being displayed. And generally they have protocols on board the ship that they'll generally isolate the people within their cabin and stuff. So they're quarantined off anyhow. So, and those people, even though quarantined on the ship, there's protocols in place for the ship as well that if you decide you want to try to come out of the cabin, come off the ship, they actually have it blocked in the system that if the minute you try to scan out of the ship, an alarm goes off saying that you're not supposed to be coming off. So, so they have some good stuff on board there that, if once they block you, that you can't come off the ship even, but generally they'll, and people like that, they'll just have in isolation. So they have protocols and lately the ships have actually stepped up the whole cleaning and sanitization thing with the process that they do on board the ships now.
Right.
So, And like I said, luckily we have a couple of days window generally before they even arrive here. So normally it's like 2 days, and then some days, you'll have 5 to 6 days depending on the itinerary of the ship for the last stop. So, and what that is, they update that. Like say if they come from Jamaica to come to Cayman, so when they sail or just say this afternoon, ship coming tomorrow, when they sail, they'll send that updated again. So we'll know ahead of time before the ship even arrives if anyone's on board showing any symptoms, that we have time to question that, and then see the public health if they want to query all of that before the ship even gets here. So, I mean, a decision can be made long before the ship even arrives here, what you're going to do with it,
And I don't necessarily expect you to speak to, I don't know whether you're here to speak on behalf of the airports as well.
No.
No. But I presume that something quite similar would be in place in relation to the airports.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, can't really speak on their behalf, but obviously their time window is a lot less because we're talking about a flight. I mean, most of the Miami flights are an hour away, so by the time the flight, leaves Miami, you only have an hour. So, I mean, if it's something, that's not much of a window. So, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how far in depth they've gone with their process. So,
totally.
I mean, yes, I can say it is a similar process, but naturally there is a much shorter window. So they are required to advise if any of their passengers, if they're aware of any sickness on board the flights, and let us know in advance so that at least we have a little while to make preparations. Yes.
And I would imagine some of that screening actually takes place from the point at which the passenger seeks to check in for the flight.
I can't answer that question.
Right, of course, no, I understand. I mean, we have a recent update from the Honourable Minister for Health regarding these issues generally. But prior to going to that particular statement that was recently issued, we're going to go for a short commercial break.
Would you like free roses this Valentine's Day? Buy a gift that can be cherished forever from Island Jewelers. And the roses are on us today. That's right. We'll buy the roses. Spend $350 US at any Island Jewelers and receive half dozen red roses from Celebrations for free. Island Jewelers is located in the Island Plaza under Margaritaville, Camana Bay, the airport, Kimpton Seafire, and Ritz-Carlton. Show her you love her today, forever, and always with Island Jewelers.
Radio Cayman News, live, in-depth team coverage.
A 7.7 magnitude earthquake has occurred.
Fast.
Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller was one of the first to call in. I could hear my neighbors across the street saying, whoa, that was a big one.
Accurate.
Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallegos covering the story for us.
Advising there is only a very low risk of a tsunami following this afternoon's earthquake.
If it's happening now, you're hearing it now.
We have had the all clear from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Centre. However, there will be aftershocks.
We've had a very dramatic afternoon, and I know that for a lot of people this has been very frightening.
It does not appear that anyone has been hurt and that we have been spared the worst, what could have been a truly devastating ordeal.
Radio Cayman News, your news as it happens.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Listen to the general public. Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Patrick Schmid. I'm sitting in on behalf of Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And just by way of reminder, if you have any questions or comments, the phone numbers to reach out to us on are 949-8037 or a toll-free courtesy of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. And indeed, you can also send us a WhatsApp on 925-3261 if you prefer not to call. We have with us in the studio today, or at the moment, our Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Lee, and also on behalf of the Port Authority, we have Mr. Robert Moore. And so we're just discussing elements relating to coronavirus, the most recent information that we have available to us as a result of various communications that have occurred between the organizations responsible within the Cayman Islands, and indeed between the Cayman Islands and the Pan American Health Organization, the World Health Organization, and all the most recent information that can be obtained. So Dr. Lee was just speaking about the various precautions that one can take in order to ensure, insofar as possible, that you're not exposed, and in particular in relation to personal hygiene and cleanliness and so on. Dr. Lee, would you like to?
I just wanted to say that I feel that information is power. So if people wish to find out information, I wanted to let you know how we've been trying to to share that. There have been 2 press releases from the Ministry of Health and the Department of Public Health last week and the week before. There was a press conference this Monday, and the Minister of Health made a statement in the Legislative Assembly on Friday. The press conference and the Legislative Assembly statement are both
soon to be
available.
Parliament.
Are both available on the CIG TV section of YouTube for if you wish to view them. There's also an FAQs, a frequently asked questions, which is very helpful. It's a double-sided piece which is on the hsa.ky website. If you then click under services and look under public health, you'll find the link to an FAQ sheet about the coronavirus. What we're also doing is around the ports, both the seaport and the airport, putting up a lot of poster information, as well as putting in an insert into people's passports when they arrive at the airport. I've got one here. I know your viewers can't see it, but it's credit card shaped. It's written in English and in Spanish on the reverse to give people advice, because whether you're a returning citizen concerned about the impact of returning to your islands, or whether you're a visitor and don't know the system of the islands, there's some information on there for you to try and find out and help yourself. So I feel we're trying to push the information out by a number of different routes. We also have Twitter information going out, and other social media, Facebook and so on, information going out in order to try and reach people by a lot of different means. In particular, if you know somebody, perhaps an elderly person who doesn't have access to some of the more modern technology, please consider printing out the FAQs for them. If you have the ability, print it out, take it home so that they can have a look, because I'm sure they'd really appreciate the information. I understand also the Department of Public Health in due course is planning some public meetings in order to try and share information, and also to dispel any myths that are out there.
Yes, sir, that's very helpful. Sorry.
No,
Some more?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so I'm actually just having a look right now at the obviously the card that Dr. Lee has kindly provided us with, contains some very pertinent information regarding the most important aspects of being aware in relation to the coronavirus. And if I may just take a moment to quickly cover the 6 points on the front of this health alert notice. I'm not sure if you can see it. Those of you who are watching on YouTube. Susan is telling me that she is doing her very best to focus in on it right now.
It's been designed so that it can go in a purse or a wallet. It's less than the size of a credit card, yet it's got a useful information.
You'd be amazed at the high-tech information and skills that we have here at Radio Cayman. That having been said, I'm just going to quickly read, if that's okay, the 6 important points, which are as follows. There's an outbreak of a respiratory illness in China and other countries caused by the new coronavirus with confirmed person-to-person spread. 2, please keep this card with you and watch your health for a period of 14 days. 3, if you develop a fever, cough, or have difficulty breathing during this time, seek medical care immediately. 4, call ahead before going to a doctor, clinic, or hospital, and remember to provide the card to the doctor. 5, tell them of your travel history and what symptoms you are experiencing. And 6, your doctor shall notify the medical officer of health for reporting purposes. Therefore, you have the interconnectivity and the necessary communication that is required for our health services to keep abreast of what's going on within our general populace. So thank you very much, Dr. Lee. And I'm just also trying to see if I can pull up in the meantime the information relating to the Honourable Minister's most recent statement. But I'll also take the opportunity to just remind our listening audience that if you have any questions in relation to this coronavirus, this is the time to call in and ask the gentlemen who know and who are here with me. Again, numbers 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255. Dr. Lee?
I just wanted to explain to the public, because they may not understand what reporting purposes are. So what public health does in any disease of this nature, and for all of our notifiable diseases, is that it keeps records of people. So depending on the nature of the condition, it will know, they will keep a record of who the people are that are affected, who the people are that person has had contact with, and follow them through the course of the at-risk period to make sure there is no further development. And if there is a further development, then they will talk to all of the contact people and keep in contact with them to make sure that the matter is contained. That is the nature of the surveillance that the public health provides, and is what they have been doing for coronavirus in this current outbreak.
I would imagine with the number of developments that occur on a daily basis, that this exchange happens on a daily basis, presumably.
Yes, they have for something such as this. Yes. They would have daily contact. Yes, right. with anybody that may be under surveillance. Right. At least daily contact.
Right. Thank you very much for that, sir. And Mr. Moore, do you have anything else to add at this stage?
Yeah, I'll just make a statement quickly. And in regards to the cruise ships as well, what has happened since the WHO made the thing, I think that was a week and a half ago now, what some of the cruise lines have done, the major cruise lines, now they've implemented a lot more stringent protocols on how they're processing their passengers. So they basically do a pre-embarkation questionnaire now, find out if the passenger traveled to China they've actually pushed it out to 30 days. If anybody's traveling to mainland China, been in contact with them regions in the last month. So, and, as well as I think like in Miami, most of them, the point of embarkation, they have the thermal scanners as well now to look for, like fevers, because it's basically looking for 100.4 is 2 degrees above normal. And basically what they've established, if at this point, then if you're showing symptoms at that point, then they basically deny you boarding the ship at point of embarkation. So they've actually, if you even show up with a fever there now, they've actually taken the step to actually just refund you money and not make you get on the ship and stuff. So they've
ensured that
and then on board as well, like I said, they've on the turnarounds now, they've basically re-sanitizing the ships on turnarounds.
Yeah, if you think about it from an economic or a business point of view, they're clearly going to be suffering as a result of that. And I think that the actions that a lot of the countries have taken, Trinidad, Bahamas, Jamaica, Australia, the USA, amongst others, and all the cruise liners, the actions they've taken, and of course China, to restrict travel are obviously hurting the bottom line, but everybody is putting the safety of the people first in their actions, which is commendable. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, it's better to lose a few people than a whole ship, because I mean, look at the ones in China. Royal Caribbean is actually, they got ships based out of mainland China, so they basically canceled cruises, I think through till March, probably April. So I mean, airship does not sail, and I mean, you're possibly looking at millions of dollars lost for every cruise that they cancel.
Right.
So I mean, at the end of the day, it's better lose a few than take a chance with
And I understand that was it Carnival were upset that Japan had quarantined a cruise ship.
Right. It was a Princess, yeah.
But in fact, it has turned out that 10 of the passengers on board have tested positive for the coronavirus.
Yeah, I think that was the Diamond Princess. Yeah. It was there. She's there,
and it remains quarantined.
Yeah, there's actually another one to the World Dream as well. There's 2 ships over there that they got quarantined right now. Yeah, I think they got something like 5,000 plus passengers between them. So,
well, there was also from another slightly different perspective, those countries who had citizens who were in China, in particular in the particular city, they were repatriating their nationals to the extent possible. For example, Australia, and rather controversially, as many people may have heard, they actually had them quarantined at an island offshore for screening prior to readmission to Australia proper. Obviously, that's not really an option for us here in the Cayman Islands, but then at the same time, we don't have the direct travel to some of the in particular to China, but now with there being cases in Canada and the United States and in Philippines, there is a substantially greater potential risk. Hopefully, it will never actually manifest into anything that we have to worry about.
Yeah.
So at this stage, I think that we will go to a commercial break. Just by way of reminder, if you have any questions, we only have about another 20 minutes with these gentlemen, and just a reminder to give us a call if you have any questions whatsoever, any doubts, anything that you want to raise. Feel free to give us a call on 949-8037. 1-800-534-8255, or send us a WhatsApp on 925-3261. Thank you very much.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on their variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Do you need bookkeeping services? Property management? How about someone to take care of your customs brokerage needs? Well, don't despair. Call Count on Us Cayman Limited on 623-6941 or 323-3995 and get the help you need today. Stop worrying about your auto and tech services, as Count on Us Cayman can take care of that too. They take the time to understand your business. So if you need plumbing, electrical, or maintenance and repairs, Count on Us Cayman Limited has it covered. Email info@countonuscaymanlimited.com or drop by their office at 260 Crew Road, room number 3 in the Crichton Building. 623-6941 or 323-3995. Preventing dengue is as simple as preventing mosquito bites. Use a mosquito repellent, wear protective clothing, and stay indoors during early dawn and dusk when mosquitoes are most active. Control the places around you where mosquitoes breed. Remove stagnant water in outdoor and household settings. As a weekly habit, persons should change the water in vases, clear the water in saucers under potted plants, and ensure air conditioner drip trays are free of stagnant water. Outdoor objects capable of holding water should be kept empty and preferably disposed of or put into dry storage if not used. These include open bottles and tins, watering cans, buckets, empty paint tins, and old vehicle tires. Do your part to control the spread of dengue. The dengue virus is an infectious disease transmitted through mosquito bites. Symptoms may come on as early as 4 days or as late as 3 weeks following an infection. There is no vaccine or specific medication to treat dengue. Symptoms of dengue include high fever, headache, pain behind the eyes, joint and muscle pain, and rash. If persons have any of these symptoms, they should go to the nearest health center or hospital. It is advised to drink lots of liquids and avoid medication that contains aspirin.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex. Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Listen to the general public. Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255. What the public is saying. Let your voice be heard. And now, Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. We have with us the pleasure of Dr. Lee, who is our medical officer for health. Chief Medical Officer, pardon me. I thought the two implied each other. my apologies, sir. And also on behalf of the Port Authority, we have Mr. Robert Moore. Robert Lee Moore. Roy Lee, sorry. And I'm not doing very well with the names today, Susan. What's going on? Hopefully it's nothing to do with the topic. But we are discussing a very serious issue, which is, of course, the coronavirus infection, and now WHO recognized pandemic for some time now. And I'd just like to quickly, before I hand back to these gentlemen, reiterate in particular the information available on the HSA website regarding what preventative measures one might take to avoid the risk of being infected. And it reads as follows, that although we do not have 2019 coronavirus effectively cases in the Cayman Islands presently, and hopefully never, there is a probability of returning residents or visitors from affected areas being infected with the coronavirus. This is why it is recommended to practice infection control measures such as the follows. 1. Frequent hand washing with soap and water or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. 2. Covering your nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing. 3. Avoiding close contact with people suffering from acute respiratory infections. And perhaps less significantly for us directly in the Cayman Islands, but nevertheless a point, is to avoid, especially if you're traveling overseas, contact or unprotected contact with farm or wild animals. That having been said, I would like to ask Dr. Lee if he'd be so kind as to speak to us a little bit about some of the misinformation that has been going around regarding what can prevent infection, because I understand there's a fair bit of misinformation.
I know of some of it. You probably know more of it yourselves, but I mean, I have seen the suggestion that if you eat or drink a lot of raw garlic, that might help you. Although I'm somebody that believes that garlic is generally good for the health, it's not something that I can say that you can rely on. I come from a tradition of Western medicine teaching, and I couldn't say that is something that you could use to protect yourself from this virus. In my position and currently, there's also the issue of Lysol, because I know that on the backs of Lysol cans, I think it says it is active against human coronavirus. As we mentioned at the start, the coronavirus is a large family of viruses, and although MERS and SARS come out of it, and those are of great concern, also the common cold comes out of it. So yes, it is active against some coronaviruses. It may be active against this coronavirus. A lot of the testing of this particular coronavirus, because it's new, we can't tell. But that's why that's on the can, because it's a large family of viruses and it's active against some of them, or has been shown to be. I assume that's why Lysol are using it. I don't have any shares in Lysol. I'm not promoting that in particular, but just to explain, I've seen the information as well.
Yes, sir.
I could maybe explain about the medical officer of health issue as well, because the CMO, myself, that is, and the medical officer of health are two different positions in the law, and they both have statutory functions. However, from time to time, one person has occupied both of those roles. At the moment, they're split. With the appointment of me to the ministry, I'm the CMO, and Dr. Williams, who's the Director of Public Health, is also the Medical Officer of Health, and he works at the HSA. So he is the person that runs the Public Health Department, and so many of Mr. Moore was talking about the medical alerts and so on. If there's an alert that requires a doctor's attention, it would be Dr. Williams that would respond to it.
Right. But in the case of the coronavirus, presumably yourself and Dr. Williams are working hand in hand.
Totally. I mean, I'm WhatsApping him, emailing him, I don't know, 100, 200 times a day. We have very close working relationship. I was there, I see him probably 3 or 4 times a week as well. We have very close working relationships. With him, the HSA, him within the Public Health Department, the other public health people, the HSA itself, and also the private sector. I've endeavoured to foster relationships right across the board.
Of course. And can I just ask also, in relation to the most recent information that has been provided as of today, do you see or can you see sort of some sort of turning of the tide, or is that not yet the case? Unpredictable, perhaps.
This is radio, so difficult to show you a graph I have in front of me.
Actually, Susan can zoom in on your graph, sir, if you wish, because we're also being broadcast live on YouTube. But
this graph shows a rise and then a fall.
Right.
I don't know if that fall will persist.
Right.
That fall that graph is representing the transmission of novel coronavirus outside of China.
I see.
It's no doubt that fall. I don't know if it's going to persist or if we're going to have another rise.
Right.
But it's likely because of the use of travel restrictions and the even, you might say, draconian measures people have taken in order to try and contain this. I think there's almost every major public health agency in the world is saying each country is liable to get the condition. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
I am no soothsayer. I can't see into the future any more than anybody else can.
Yes.
And I'm hopeful that that curve will continue to drop and we'll all be relieved of this current worry.
Yes, I mean certainly
But we need to be prepared, and we are.
Right, which is very reassuring, to hear from both of you that the necessary measures have been taken and are constantly being taken and indeed are being readjusted as needs be on a daily basis, or perhaps even more frequently. So one can only hope that we remain coronavirus free here in the Cayman Islands. At the same time, it doesn't mean that people should stop being vigilant, of course.
Yes, with the symptoms of breathing difficulty, cough, flu-like symptoms, or fever. If you have any of those in a relevant travel history, please bring yourself forward. Let yourself known to your healthcare provider.
And just by way of additional information in relation to travel history, is it correct to say that if you've been in a place where coronavirus has been detected in the past 2 weeks, that is the usual window in which you're looking at?
The current advice would be from mainland China.
Right.
There are a lot of countries around the world who have had cases.
Yes, sir.
The majority of cases have been people who have been in Wuhan or Hubei province who have travelled abroad. There has been some person-to-person transmission outside of China, but the numbers of cases outside of China, mainland China, remain relatively small. Even in Taipei, Hong Kong, Macau, the numbers are relatively small, and the numbers in those countries are no different to, I could name 3 others, Germany, the United States of America, Canada. You could name others with similar sorts of numbers.
Right.
So I wouldn't say it's one region or another at the minute. It's the hotspot is mainland China and in Hubei province where Wuhan sits. That's the worrying place. Yeah.
Right. And Mr. Moore, with the Port Authority, there are particular persons designated, I presume, to review the manifest and so on, and to actually ascertain whether or not there's a reason for concern?
Yeah, actually, generally is myself and 2 other people that look at this here, because basically that's my day-to-day thing. I look at these every day. The ship send them So I respond to the ships every day.
Right.
So that's my primary access. So I look at these, as they come in, I go through them and look at them. So if there's anything that jumps out there,
Certainly.
And like I said, the public health department gets the same thing. So, and they operate on a percentage number. If it's X amount, even like influenza or something on board, if it's X amount of cases, if it's passes a percentage, then they can start looking and see whether or not, the ship will stop or whatever. So there's protocols in place to, if something jumps out there and it looks like, okay, we're not sure about this, then we'll just, that's an option as well. So, and, while I'm on that, like I said, at the port we've just went through and changed out a lot of before we had some of the hand sanitizers and manual ones. Basically, we've just taken all of them out and put everything's automatic now so that, no touch stuff like that now. And they're all of the terminals as well, workspaces even up at the cargo distribution center and all that, the customer area as well as staff area. So we've, took all of those manual stuff and just put, everything automatic.
Of course, that's good for both this particular matter and generally speaking.
Yeah, so I mean, not just the cruise thing. You're just looking at the whole operations on the port. So we just took that step and just removed all those and put some stuff in there for staff as well. And even if there's no threat to it now, but just got ahead of the game.
Dr. Lee, just before you make your next point, sir, I believe we have a call on the line. Is that? Do we still have the caller there? Caller, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This concern is coronavirus. I saw a video this morning in China where they have these people quarantined in a building. And all the people that are sick are lying on the floor shaking and dying. And the doctors are just walking around them, just watching them helplessly. We have a gentleman here in the Cayman Islands by the name of Mr. Kenneth Christian. He's known to be a herbal doctor. He's cured people with AIDS, cancer, and diabetes. It's been known for a while concerning Mr. Christian with his medication. And the government continues to refuse to work in proving that his medication is able to cure people.
So
this serious, now that we have this, let me finish.
Of course.
Now that we have this serious disease that is killing people, not than or any other disease.
Sorry, you're breaking up, sir. Sorry, we lost that caller temporarily. Dr. Lee, I believe you were about to make a point.
I was just going to follow on from Mr. Moore's point, if I may.
Yes, of course, sir.
It was really about, you mentioned the cargo. I mean, I think people are concerned, what about goods and so on that are coming from cargo? Cargo that's coming from China or letters or something. And the WHO have said that, like some of the other coronaviruses, it's a relatively fragile virus, so it is not likely to be able to be transmitted by that sort of thing that's spent some time in transit to here, to Cayman.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Lee. I believe we have the caller back online. Caller, I do apologize. We just simply could not hear you at any point. It was not intentional, of course. But just before you complete your point, I just want you to consider, in making your point, sir, that quite often we hear and see a lot of information on international media, which is questionable, and we have to question the legitimacy of the media and where it's emanating from, because as you may well be aware, we have been encouraged to pay particular attention to the official reports that are coming forward rather than anything else in terms of potential speculation. So with that said, by all means, please continue.
Well, disease. International on the.
Sir, you need to move again, please. We're not hearing you.
Are you know?
Not completely clearly, sir.
Okay, I'll call back.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I do apologize for that. For the technical difficulties there, but it's not on our end, unfortunately. The call is just not coming through clearly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I interrupted you, Dr. Lee. Or
No,
whether
I was mentioning about the cargo and the letters,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, and so I'll take the opportunity to also, we don't have a lot of time left, so if you do have a call, if you would call in as soon as possible, please. Whilst these gentlemen are here, they're of course very busy and constantly staying abreast of the coronavirus issue, and I believe we have our caller back once more. Good afternoon, caller. You're online.
You hear me now, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely clearly.
Okay. Well, concerning from what I've heard over the news, there are 14,000 people that have now they have found out now that are showing traces of this disease in China, and I think it's over 500 people now that have died, and this is happening rapidly because the numbers are increasing day by day, very fast. And concerning Mr. Kenneth Christian with his herbal medication that this man has been mentioning to governments in the present government and in the past, that his medication is able to cure people of cancer and AIDS and diabetes. And the man has proof of showing this. And I don't think it's fair for the government to continue ignoring this man and proving that his medication can cure people.
Can I just ask you, sir, with all due respect, do you happen to know whether he has sought to prove it to the government, or whether he's done any form of demonstration to government?
Well, he has spoken to ministers in charge of health, including the president, and they have been ignoring him. And another thing that I've heard, and I don't know if it's facts, but I've heard there are 3 people here in the Cayman Islands quarantined at the hospital with traces of this disease. And when it comes to Mr. Kenneth Christian's medication, his medication is able to cure people when they have signs of it, and he immediately is able to attend to them with this medication, not when they're on their last breath. So the government needs to work with this gentleman as soon as possible, because as a Caymanian, I don't think it's fair if this gentleman has the cure and there's no cure from what I'm hearing, not even in China.
Right. Right, sir. I'd like to thank you for that. We are a little bit pressed for time, but I'm not ignoring your point. I think it's a very valid one to say that if there is something which is demonstrable and can be proven, then by all means, whether the person is Caymanian or non-Caymanian, then it is the responsibility of all those concerned to ensure that that person is heard out. But it is a question of actually proving that information and indeed making sure that it can be demonstrated in a very clear medical manner. Of course, I'm not medically qualified and can't speak to that particular point, but that seems obvious to me. As to your question about persons being quarantined here, I cannot, of course, answer that question, but of course we have Dr. Lee here with us, and perhaps he might wish to address that particular question.
It's certainly, as of this morning, my understanding is there's nobody on the Cayman Islands who has the coronavirus, and I'm not aware that anybody is quarantined, but as I don't actually work at the HSA,
right.
A lot of information about an individual person is confidential,
right.
And people will endeavour to maintain that confidentiality,
right.
Whilst at the same time taking a balance with public risk and public information.
Of course, I presume that if it were actually confirmed that the person was,
I would
yes.
probably be one of the first people to find out about it. Yes.
So quarantine may well relate to something else.
I can't. I don't know the issue.
Yes. Okay, sir. I appreciate your position. We're about to go to the 2 o'clock news. I'd like to thank you both for coming and spending time with us and informing the public and keeping us up to date. And hopefully this will all be a matter of historical significance in the near future. But thank you once again for your presence.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for the
having me.
opportunity. Thank you.
Okay.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on Island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Leading offshore law firm Appleby was named as Law Firm of the Year Litigation at the City Wealth IFC Awards in London last night. In addition to this award, Appleby was also named as a runner-up in the Law Firm of the Year Hong Kong and Singapore category, as well as receiving nominations for Law Firm of the Year Bahamas, Bermuda and Cayman, Law Firm of the Year Isle of Man, and Law Firm of the Year Jersey. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Frank Plummer, a scientific maverick whose research had a profound impact on global public health, has died. The world-renowned microbiologist was most widely recognized for his groundbreaking work on understanding HIV transmission. 67-year-old Dr. Plummer was also recognized for leadership roles in the SARS, H1N1 flu, and Ebola epidemics. And a passenger plane has skidded off the runway at an airport in Turkey and broken into 3 pieces, injuring 52 people. The Pegasus Airlines jet was reportedly carrying 171 passengers and 6 crew when it crashed at the Istanbul airport. No one died in the incident. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Patrick Schmid. I'm standing in for Sterling Dwayne Banks. Just by way of reminder, we have another approximately half an hour left, so not very much time. I hope you all are finally tuned to 89.9 FM. And I'd like to welcome our listeners once again from all 3 of our islands and anywhere else in the Caymanian diaspora, as Dr. McVie likes to say. By way of reminder also, if you wish to call in with any questions or comments, the numbers are 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255. Also, you can send us a WhatsApp on 925-3261. We have had a full agenda today, so no open line opportunities, but that's quite fine because it's all been of particular importance. And our last guest by no means our least, but our last guest for today will be or is representing the Pink Ladies, and will be speaking to us about the very important function and role of that particular body. So as soon as we come back from the commercial break, then which we're going to take very shortly, then we will be launching straight into a discussion about the Pink Ladies.
Dominion Life Global Ministries invites you to their first anniversary prophetic convention. Theme, I Must Recover. February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall, featuring Apostle Joseph Jogona, Thursday and Friday, 7 until 9:30, and Sunday, 1 until 3:30, with an elegant Valentine's soiree on Saturday the 15th. If you need more information on the convention or to purchase tickets to the soiree, call 326-0744. The Dominion Life Global Ministries first anniversary convention, February 13th through the 16th at the Georgetown Town Hall.
Would you like free roses this Valentine's Day? Buy a gift that can be cherished forever from Island Jewelers. And the roses are on us today. That's right. We'll buy the roses. Spend $350 US at any Island Jewelers and receive half dozen red roses from Celebrations for free. Island Jewelers is located in the Island Plaza under Margaritaville, Camana Bay, the airport, Kimpton Seafire, and Ritz-Carlton. Show her you love her today, forever, and always with Island Jewelers.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Patrick Schmid. I'm standing in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and it's good to have you all with us. We are now going to have a discussion with Mrs. Faye Lippett, director of the Pink Ladies Volunteer Corps. And so they, in particular, most people in Cayman would have heard about the Pink Ladies, or should have heard about the Pink Ladies. They've been around for quite a number of years. In fact, 40 years, I believe.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, and so, but they are currently in the process of fundraising, and so what I'd like to do at this stage is to, in addition to welcoming Mrs. Lippett to Radio Cayman, to ask her if she would be so kind as to introduce us to the Pink Ladies and the charity event that is currently planned.
Certainly will. We are going to be having our first of two charity events, and this one is a fashion show, and it's our second in 2 years, so looking forward to it very much. It's going to be on Saturday at a private residence in West Bay from 4 till 7 o'clock p.m.
Okay, and so how do the public go about getting tickets to attend, or is that not something which is?
Yes, absolutely. We have a minimum. We have 100 tickets available. We have 20 left, and you can pick them up. Anyone can pick them up at Be Well Pharmacy, which is on West Bay Road in West Shore Plaza, next to 7 Mile Post Office.
Excellent. And is there a number that people can call just to check that their tickets still available?
You just have to look up Be Well Pharmacy. I'm sorry, I don't have their phone number.
That's fine. I can find that for you, ma'am.
Okay.
And how much are the tickets?
The tickets are $75. What that includes is endless bubbles and wine and hors d'oeuvres and entertainment by the ladies themselves, who will be modeling fabulous fashions.
Right.
The fashions that we model are given to us by our members and friends. They're high-end quality, high-end fashion, fine quality. They're gently used. They will be for sale for a fraction of the price after the sale. The ladies will be modeling them, and then there will be a lot more available, of course, before and during and after the show.
Right. And so you mentioned that it will be held at a private residence, so presumably once one purchases a ticket, then they would obtain the necessary information in relation to where to go.
Yes, that information is on the ticket.
Right.
It's right. It's on Northwest Point Road.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on the way to the Turtle Farm, essentially.
That's correct.
Okay.
Close to it.
Yes, ma'am. And can I just take this opportunity to invite you to perhaps tell us a little bit about the most important functions of the Pink Ladies currently?
Certainly. The main function, of course, that most people know us for is the Christmas Bazaar that we have usually at the end of November. This year it will be December 5th at the Arc, Camana Bay. We have between 800 and 900 people come. It's a wonderful event.
Excellent. And are you still looking, or are you always looking for Pink Ladies volunteers?
Well, yes, we are. That's a very good point. Because we started 40 years ago, it was a time when there were not a lot of volunteer organizations. And the Pink Ladies was started by Miss Olive, and many people know Miss Olive. She also had her hand in starting the NCVO.
Miss Olive Miller,
mm-hmm.
Yes.
And 40 years ago, as I mentioned, there were not a lot of charities. So this organization was started by women who wanted to help at the hospital, and they realized at the hospital that there was no cafeteria. So they started the cafeteria in 1981, and they moved to the main location in 1987 by the hospital, and it was called the Hibiscus Coffee Shop, which the name remained until it was closed. I believe it was 3 or 4 years ago. The reason we closed it is because we ran out of volunteers.
You knew that was my next question, right?
That's right. That's right. It's a sad statement. However, you have to realize that nowadays there are many, many different kinds of charities, and there are many, many people volunteering. Another reason that we have problem with volunteers is that I've had people ask me, how old do you have to be a pink lady? And in fact, we're looking for young people because Miss Olive is 98. She's still a member. We still have original members. We need new members. We need young members. There's so much opportunity for charities, charity events, and just giving back to the public.
Absolutely. How many pink ladies approximately do you have at the moment?
I believe we have about 90 membership. Okay. They're not all active. They all come out for a Christmas bazaar, and we hope that they will also come out for the fashion show, of course. Many of the members will be there. We do different things with the money that all the money that we make, we give back.
Right.
A lot of it goes to the NCVO. We give to the Pines because it was the Pines that was one of the original charities that we started, that the Pink Ladies started. There was no Pines at the time, of course. It was a retirement home. So all of the money that we will be making on Saturday will go to the Pines for restoration and renovation of the villas.
Well, it is quite amazing to hear you say that all of the money will be going to a particular charity. In each instance, it sounds like, because many organizations that seek to raise funds, of course, they have to sort of spread things across administrative and other expenses. But the Pink Ladies seem to be quite unique in that respect, that once you have a fundraiser, it's the entire amount that goes towards the charity. Is that fair to say?
That's correct. There's no administration. We're just a group of ladies that like to give back.
And on that note, before I go any further, it would be remiss of me to not say a very special, heartfelt thank you, because for as long as I can remember, the Pink Ladies have obviously been around and have played a very important role in assisting people in need in Cayman. And so I think that whether people say it or not, the vast majority of people who know of the Pink Ladies, and most people do, are very grateful for the role that the Pink Ladies play. And so on that same note, I'd like to reiterate that this coming Saturday, this coming Saturday is the fundraiser. There are only 20 tickets left, so obviously a very highly subscribed, very popular fundraiser. And I'd like to encourage as many people as possible to go to the Be Well Pharmacy in West Shore Center.
That's correct.
To collect your ticket as soon as possible before they run out and you miss the opportunity. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, ma'am?
Well, yes. All of the money that we make this time is going to the Pines. However, at Christmas time, we make the major amount.
Yes.
And we give that to a lot of different charities. Among them is the NCVO and the Pines, but also Special Olympics, the Lighthouse School. We actually adopted an iguana. We call her Lady Pink.
Right.
And so we sponsor an iguana every year.
A Cayman iguana, of course.
Of course. She's blue. Well, I think she has a pink bow.
All right.
Anyway, we give everything back.
Right.
We have the charities usually come to us and ask us if we can sponsor them. And at the Christmas Bazaar, we have booths that we give away free to the Humane Society. Of course, NCVO is there as well. They have a big table. We have Jasmine is there. Let me think. We have the YMCA is there as well. We also have random acts of kindness. They bring Santa, which is very popular with the children. We have tables of all sorts of homemade jams and jellies. It's a fine event.
And Mrs. Lippett, can I just ask you, if someone is interested in becoming a volunteer, how can they contact you?
Pink Ladies KY.
Oh, that's nice and easy. pinkladies.ky.
Yes.
And you can just sort of sign up, fill out the necessary online form. Is that correct? Or
that's right. That's our website, and the website will lead you to a membership, how you can sign up. It would be lovely to have new people.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's always good to have as many people as possible to spread around the responsibilities. And I know that your responsibilities are quite numerous, and perhaps you would ideally like to take on even more if that were possible.
Yeah, well, actually, what we're doing now is we read weekly at the public libraries, both Georgetown and West Bay, on a Saturday.
Excellent. Mrs. Lippett, it's been a real pleasure. I know we've had such a short time. I know you're limited in your time as well, but it's been a real pleasure to have you here. I'd just like to encourage everyone once again to go out and support the Pink Ladies in this particular fundraiser, which is the fashion show that's happening in West Bay at an undisclosed location. There are only 20 tickets left, and they can be obtained from the Be Well Pharmacy at West Shore Plaza. Just in terms of reaching out to Be Well, I'm just trying to quickly ascertain their phone number, but in any case, if I'm not, they certainly are on Facebook as well, and of course Pink Ladies themselves probably have that information posted to their website on pinkladies.ky.
We certainly do.
Excellent.
Just want to give a shout out to the School of Hospitality Studies at UCCI. They are doing the catering for us.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it's a
free
win-win.
of charge, presumably.
No, it's a moneymaker for them as well. It works both ways.
Okay, excellent. And so what I do have, just reverting back to my promise, the phone number for Be Well Pharmacy is 949-2323, and they are open daily from 8:30 in the morning until 6:30, except perhaps Sundays. Or even Sundays.
I'm not sure if they're open on Sundays.
Okay. Nevertheless, the time is now to purchase those tickets, and I would like to take the opportunity to encourage the listening public to please continue to support the Pink Ladies in their tremendous contribution to our community. And Mrs. Lippett, thank you so much for being with us here today. Is there anything else you'd like to add before you leave?
Just to thank you to our sponsor, Blackbeards, who are providing the wine and the bubblies, and Rugs Oriental, who are always there for us. We appreciate that.
Certainly.
And I appreciate the talk today, Patrick.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
It's been my pleasure, ma'am. So I think we're going to be going to another quick commercial break. And once we come back, we'll have a short period of time for open line. And that'll be it for Talk Today. Thank you.
Your favorite family fun day is back. The 53rd Annual Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Theme, Agriculture for the Future. Ash Wednesday, February 26th. Family fun for everyone. Acrobatic show, cooking competitions, produce, plants, pony rides, petting zoo, rodeo, and so much more. Gates open at 7 a.m. with ample parking. General admission is only $10. Children ages 2 through 11, $5. And under 2 are free. Or buy your raffle ticket including entrance fee for a chance to win $20,000 and so much more. For more information, visit them on Facebook or 345agriculture@gmail.com. Put down your iPad and get back to your roots at the 53rd Annual Agricultural Show, February 26th in Lower Valley.
In recognition of the contributions made by the late David Gerard Powell, the playing field at Theoline McCoy Primary in Bordentown will be officially renamed the D. Gerard Powell Playing Field. Come out to witness this important day in our history at the official renaming ceremony taking place this Saturday, February 8th on the school's playing field. After the ceremony, stick around to watch exhibition football games by the school's football teams and an exciting scrimmage showdown between the legendary Reds and Blues. See you this Saturday at 5:30 p.m. for the ceremony. Bring your family, friends, red and blue flags for the games at 7 p.m. Radio Command, and this is how we wake you up.
Praises unto God, sing praises. Come on, sing praises unto God, sing praises. Hallelujah. Lord, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day.
Praise time on Radio Command. Praise time.
Give me Jesus in the morning. I will. So send me, Lord. I
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the last segment of Talk Today for today. My name is Patrick Schmid, and I'm standing in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We, of course, still welcome your calls. We're now on an open line session for approximately 10 minutes, and then we're out of here. But nevertheless, it's been a pleasure to be with you. I'd also take the opportunity to remind you that the Honorable Minister of Health's most recent statement regarding the coronavirus information is on CIG TV's website and also their YouTube link. And whilst I still have the mic and welcoming calls, I'd also like to take the opportunity to address two other matters that have come to my attention, and also that have been matters of discussion generally. One, of course, is the earthquake that we all experienced, thankfully without too much severe damage on the island and without any casualties people-wise. But I overheard the Honourable Premier making a statement to the effect that in the same way, and in fact the Leader of Opposition was also making the statement, that whilst we're thoroughly prepared for hurricanes, we don't necessarily have as thorough a preparation plan for earthquakes, which are increasingly a threat for the Cayman Islands, given our proximity to the fault lines that separate the North and South American plates. And so the government has undertaken, my understanding is the government has undertaken to produce a more detailed public information campaign in short order so that the public is prepared to deal with these matters as and when they arise. It is, of course, a very frightening thing and something that we need to be thoroughly prepared for. Also, I take this opportunity to say that whenever there's a Talk Today program, whomever is hosting, I think it is very important to us to have your feedback and to ensure that any questions whatsoever are raised. If you think that there's something that we're not raising and you'd like to hear raised, then it falls to you to let us know what you want to hear us talk about. And I'm sure that the staff here at Radio Cayman would be more than willing to accommodate insofar as possible, and wherever that information is available. So I'd just like to welcome our listeners once again to take the opportunity of these last 7 minutes to give us a call and to let us know what's on your mind, whatever that might be, whatever your concerns may be, and I'll do my very best to respond as best as possible or to endeavor to find that information out for you. That having been said, there are, of course, always new issues every day that are arising, and so it is important to keep abreast of the news, and in particular the official news, and not get digressed too much or misled too much by the various other sources of information that sometimes do not have all of the facts available to them. So it remains then for us all to be vigilant in terms of what we're listening to, and to bear in mind why things that are said are being said, as well as to consider not just what's happening in Cayman, but what is happening regionally and internationally, which affects the Cayman Islands, whether it be Brexit, whether it be the U.S. presidential campaign. There are so many topics that are constantly in issue which do affect us here in the Cayman Islands directly and indirectly. And so it is worthwhile to keep abreast of this information and indeed to ask questions, to seek clarification, and to ensure that you have your input to the extent that you think that it could be to ensure that you are heard and that your point of view is taken into consideration, because it may well be that there are other people who feel the same way, but who, for whatever reason, are reluctant to call in. And but by all means, do not feel reluctant to call in. This is your show, Talk Today, and this is your opportunity to participate in a nationwide discussion on whatever the issues may be. So once again, welcoming you to call us 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255, or indeed to send us a WhatsApp on 925-3261, or an email on talktoday@candw.ky. Sorry. With that having been said, we thought we had a call on the line, but we didn't. But there are of course constant issues. We know that recently, whilst not all matters have been ironed out, Britain has officially exited the European Union. That will have effects on the Cayman Islands as an overseas territory of Britain. We do not fully know what all of those effects will be, but it is an ongoing matter for discussion, and it's very good to know that our government has been in close contact with the UK to the extent possible to ascertain what the potential ramifications may be, and also to prepare the Cayman Islands as best as possible to place the Cayman Islands in the best possible position vis-a-vis both its mother country, so to speak, as well as the European Union, as well as the international community. We are, of course, a small place, nearing 70,000, if not already there, persons, but in the grand scheme of things, 70,000 people is not a whole lot. With all of that having been said, I would really encourage you to call in either today or tomorrow, whenever the opportunity arises, to let us know what is on your mind, to let us know what you want us to talk about, so that we can ensure that we tackle the most important issues to you. And we're always here, or rather, Radio Cayman is always here to service the people of the Cayman Islands and to ensure that information is disseminated in a timely, accurate, and appropriate manner. So if there are no other calls at this moment, Ms. Susan, I'd like to thank you for all your help as usual. I'd like to thank the listening audience for listening in to me today. And we are going to be ending 1 minute early, I think. And you can, of course, join us on YouTube if you wish, or watch it again later on if you didn't have an opportunity to see it right now because you're at work or otherwise engaged. And please join OC tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow, on Friday morning. And Sabrina Turner will be on tomorrow. And, of course, Dwayne will be on once again at 12:15 tomorrow. I won't be here. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful afternoon.